The entire Parliament were up in arms over the fact that a small minority within the freedom movement have labelled Dan as, or compared him to Hitler. They're up in arms over that, but when a member of Parliament who is siding with the government declares on the floor of Parliament a Jewish reporter, one of the only Jewish reporters in the state, as a Nazi because he doesn't like his political views, nobody says a word.
I saw a known neo-Nazi reporter out there with his neo-Nazi mate, and that's who I spoke to her about.
A neo-Nazi reporter with his mate, which is referring to, obviously, my security guard. We are neo-Nazis. Now, I did this morning challenge him to step outside of Parliament and say it out here where parliamentary privilege doesn't protect him from defamation. But I doubt he's going to do that. Do you find it weird that Mr. Anti-Racism and Fascism is abusing his parliamentary privilege to label a Jewish reporter as a neo-Nazi?
I do, especially knowing that I've seen you without your top on, and so I've actually seen your tattoos. So I know that you're not. I'm actually...
Let's just clarify for the audience, we're talking about my arm.
Yeah.
We're not talking about me naked, we're talking about my arm.
No. Yeah, I was taken aback a bit, Avi, because obviously I've met you a few times, we've had these conversations, and I know that you're not a neo-Nazi.
That's such an insult. You know, I've just had a girl over here, she's really upset. She said, somebody called me a Nazi today, and I said, well, don't worry about it, you're not a Nazi. And she said, no, it really hurt me because I'm Serbian. And you know what the Nazis did to us? I mean, sometimes these people need to stop and think a little bit about people's histories.
A known neo-Nazi reporter.
Andy Meddick is someone who likes to claim like he's anti-fascist, anti-racism.
That he promotes kindness, but I don't really think that's all that kind, just to make up nonsense and smear people with lies. I mean, if he was a really nice person, he'd actually come down and just talk to us, wouldn't he?
Now that I'm with him, I will be called more now 100% neo-Nazis.
100%. I know we're laughing, but it's quite awful, isn't it, that a African and a Jew on the steps of Parliament have to resort to laughing at the fact that they're being called Nazis, because the anti-medics of society have thrown that term around so much that it's lost all meaning. But there have been developments in the story that I think are important to note here. Since last week, when Mr. Meddick stood up in Parliament to abuse his parliamentary privilege to call me a Nazi, Mr. Meddick made a statement online to what we now know as a fake attack on his trans daughter. Yep, once again, the entire country from the Prime Minister down immediately rushed to Mr. Meddick's defence and condemned the violence. But I want to draw your attention to the last sentence of Mr. Meddick's statement in that fake attack. I do also ask that people understand and respect the fact that comments, insults, intimidation, and incitement can all have very real and absolutely devastating consequences. Only a few days after Mr. Meddick stood up in Parliament to abuse his parliamentary privilege to call me a Nazi, I was attacked on the street by people who self-proclaim themselves as Nazi hunters, anti-fascists. So yes, I would say to Mr. Meddick, heed that warning. Listen to yourself and remember your words can have absolutely devastating consequences. And to all those who rush to Mr. Meddick's side, why are you so quiet now? To all of you that have stood up and condemned violence against journalists, why are you so silent now? To Josh Frydenberg, that every time somebody labels Daniel Andrews a Nazi, you invoke your Jewish heritage to condemn that comparison. But not once have you stood up to the Andy Meddicks and the Greens of this world in our Parliament to condemn them for throwing that term around and calling people from your own community neo-Nazis.
let's a little bit of hope that Mr. Meddick would come and one day meet you and apologise for some of the things that he said.
Well, what we're going to do right now, you've just given me an idea. What we're going to do is we're going to take his Animal Justice Party logo and we're going to turn it into Yemini Justice, and we're going to put it on a T-shirt. I'll even sponsor one to Mr. Meddick. You guys can get it at rebelstore.com.au. Andy can buy one for the whole family. We'll even deliver it to his house, and to the farmers that he doesn't like, we'll deliver it to anyone that pays for it. That's how good we are at rebelstore.com.au.
Oh, and Avi, that's really lovely. That shows the compassion that you have, and let's all show the same heart and compassion through these times.
Thank you. Keep up the good work.
No problem, Avi.
rebelstore.com.au. Get yourself one of those T-shirts, because this animal is also worth fighting for.